It used to be a point of American pride, clothing labels that said, "Made in Burlington, North Carolina." But those labels disappeared along with the mills as manufacturing went overseas to China and other countries. But if you look closer, you might see some of that past in the future of Alamance County.
You might get very shocked if you happen to be driving through and you come upon this little village and everything is like it is in 1880. It's like, what is going on?
On the outskirts of Burlington, North Carolina, along the east bank of the Haw River, sits, frozen in time, Glencoe Mill Village. What used to be a general store is now a museum that tells the story of the families who first settled around the mill.
The mills were built right next to the railroad.
Kathy Berry is the co-director of the Textile Heritage Museum. Why is it important that people know about the history of the textile industry in Alamance County?
I think it's fascinating. You see this little mill village right here? This was one of the first. And then other mill villages also were built. And this whole thing became the city of Burlington. And I think that's what built up the county.
I know that there were a couple families that were kind of in charge of the entire industry here in Alamance County. Who are those people?
Corey's, we have the Holtz, and then Love, he was with Burlington Industries.
Those big industry names ended up in big letters on big buildings at Elon University. One of those buildings is the Corey Business Center, where Jim Barber is the chair of the economics department at the Love School of Business.
The industry took off. Spencer Love was largely responsible for a great deal of it. And when he founded Burlington Industries, that kind of set the tune for everybody else. There were inventions that were done here. Pantyhose were invented here. Crew socks, so on. But it got to the point where firms could go somewhere else and hire cheaper labor and make just as good a sock.
So the economic winds shifted. In 1954, the owner of Glencoe Mill shut it down.
He just kind of closed it up, locked the door, and walked out. There are no factory jobs, it seems, after the mills have closed.
This 19th century loom is an artifact left over from an industry that died long ago, or so it may seem. Weaving yarn into fabric isn't altogether extinct here in Alamance County.
My grandpa's worked here, my grandmother, aunt, brother. I've had lots of family throughout the years that's actually been at this plant.
For more than 25 years, Bo Crisco has been learning about yarn, fabric, and the machines that transform one into the other. He said he considers himself one of the lucky ones, one of the few still working in one of the last plants. If your kids said, "Dad, I want to go into textiles," what would you say?
I would probably try to talk them out of it. We've taken over a 10% cut in pay, actually a 20% cut in pay, lost a lot of benefits where, at one time I had as many as 4 weeks of vacation time, and now it's nothing, no vacation time.
At all?
At all right now.
So the older you get, the more experience you have, you know how to run every one of these machines in here, the less you get paid.
That's the way it's going right now, but we hope that's going to change.
When Bo first started working here, he said there were machines like this one, from wall to wall. Today, half of this room is empty.
Well, I tell the employees up front, I have to stand and look at them eye to eye, and I tell them, our goal is to definitely, get you back as close as possible to your previous pay scales, get as many benefits back as possible, but our number one goal is to make sure we have a job here tomorrow for you guys and next week and the next year.
Marvin Gaines is Bo's boss and the co-owner of Burlington Technologies. In his more than 20 years of management in the textile industry, he's seen the good and the bad times.
The problem we've seen is when there's growth, it's really spotty. It comes real hard and heavy for maybe 2 or 3 months, and then it kind of slows down. I've taken layoff weeks. I've asked my managers to take them. Everybody from the $8 an hour guy up to the president of the company have had to take layoffs with this company.
So are we just in part of the economic cycle where it's up and now then it went down, and are we going up again?
Sure, of course it'll go back up again. Of course it will. It's in the nature of things to change. The days of doing things the way we've always done them are over. Someone else is doing them the way we've always done them.
And there's somebody in a factory in China who might be able to do your job for half of what you make. Do you think that your job will still be here in 20 years?
Sure, yeah. Some, but I don't think it'll ever be back to the way it once was, say in the 80s and 90s. Whenever you see your friends that you've worked with for 20 or 30 years, losing their job, it was crying, there was sadness, and this company go out and another company come in, morale would pick up. And then that company go out and another company come in, so it's up and down. Right now I think we're somewhat up.
I think it's hit bottom, hopefully. I think it's hit rock bottom, but it's just a shell of what it was 15, 20 years ago.
Do you hope that the only way to move now from here is up?
I think it has to go anywhere. It has to go up.
Burlington Technologies was recently awarded a $120,000 grant and a government contract to make military pants. In return, Gaines's company has to bring back at least 110 jobs.
But what are they going to do in 4 years when that contract expires?
Do you suppose the military is going to stop making pants anytime soon?
Once we get this one contract, our goal is to have 2 or 3 contracts behind that contract, as well as looking at some consumer type goods that we would make out for people.
In a city that brought so much innovation during the height of American textiles, Burlington Technologies is able to hold on to that vision and continues to bring innovation to an age-old industry.
If you want 30 yards, we'll make you 30 yards of a custom color, custom pattern. That's not something the Chinese or Asian or South America wants to mess with, because you have to ship it overseas.
Textiles as previously practiced in Alamance County, destined to fail. Textiles practiced in new ways may succeed.
30 Minutes will return in a moment.